Good morning, everyone. On this glorious occasion, I, Sarthak, third year student from the Department of Metallurgical and Materials Engineering, extend a very warm welcome to our Honorable Director, Sir, Professor N.P. Padhi, the dignitaries, faculties, staff members, and all MNITians to this gathering of illustrious minds. Being a technical institute, we must always be keen on educating and acknowledging the science's significance in our lives. Science and technology enrich the quality of our living and have brought the marvels of today into their known form. Keeping this in mind, the Institute observes the National Science Day today. In order to give a background for the same, may I now call upon Gitanjali from the Department of Computer Science Engineering.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable guests and my dear friends, I'm privileged to have such a great opportunity to speak before this honorable gathering on National Science Day. Science is systematic and logical study of how the universe works. Science is one of humankind's blessings. It has had a significant part in enhancing the standard of living of mankind. Have you ever wondered how we manage to stay cool in the scorching summers? Can you imagine your life without electricity? If not, then you must know that electricity is also a boon of science. Einstein said that all our science, measured against reality, is primitive and childlike, and yet the most precious thing we have. National Science Day is celebrated on February 28 every year across India. But do you know why do we really celebrate this day? This day commemorates the invention of the Raman Effect by the great Indian physicist Sir Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman in the year 1928. For his contribution in the field of science, Sir Raman was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 1930. By celebrating this day, we show our respect and dignity to the famous Indian physicist for all his contribution. Sir C.V. Raman was born on November 7, 1888 in Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. He was a precocious child who studied his secondary and higher secondary education from St. Aloysius Anglo-Indian High School at the ages of 11 and 13 respectively. He topped the bachelor degree examination of University of Madras with honors from Presidency College at the mere age of 16. His first research paper on the diffraction of light was published in 1906 while he was still a graduate student. In 1907, he completed his master's from University of Madras with highest distinction. From 1907 to 1933, he worked in Kolkata at the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science doing research on various topics in physics. On February 28, 1928, he led an experiment with his disciple K.S. Krishnan on what we refer to as the Raman Effect. Raman Effect explains the effect on scattering of light when light passes through different mediums. After his retirement, Raman established the Raman Research Institute in Bangalore where he worked to his last days. On November 21, 1970, Raman departed this life at the age of 82. National Science Day promotes science and technology and its visibility in our daily life. The day is observed with equal diligence every year. It is not only limited to science fraternity, but it includes people from various walks of life. As students, it is our responsibility to honor this great man and his invention by contributing to the field of science through innovation. The theme for National Science Day 2022 is Integrated Approach in Science and Technology for Sustainable Future. Students from various schools and colleges present various science projects while state and national institutes present their recent research findings. Public speeches, discussions, exhibitions based on the themes are all a part of this celebration. This celebration honors Sir C.V. Raman's exceptional contribution to research and discovery by providing hope and inspiration to future generations to pursue their dreams. And not to stop with just one discovery in any field, but to continue chasing the nation's credit in every way. Thank you.
The students of our institute have prepared a video presentation highlighting the contributions that science has made so far and the way the science has developed and enriched the human lives.
Greetings to everyone on this very prestigious day. Today, I am Ayush Singh and I will be sharing with you few greatest Indian science contributions to the world. Ancient India was a land of scientists and scholars. Researchers have shown that from making the best steel in the world to teaching the world how to count, Indians have contributed a lot in the field of science and technology. Indians produced great scientists and mathematicians. Bodhanya, for example, in 800 BC, calculated the value of pi and discovered what is now known as the Pythagoras theorem. Let us now take a look at some of these contributions of the Indian science. So, the idea of zero. Uh, Aryabhat gave the world the digit zero, for which he became immortal. The digit zero on which the whole modern computer systems rely. He was born in 476 AD in Ashmaka. The concept of zero and its integration into the place value system also enabled one to write numbers no matter how large by using only 10 symbols. Aryabhat also gave an accurate approximation for pi way back before the modern computers were even developed. Next is a theory of atom. Kernel. He is said to have devised the atomic theory centuries before John Dalton was even born. He used invariance arguments to determine properties of the atoms. He also stated that Anu can have two states. Anu is atom, and atoms of same substance combine with each other in a specific and synchronized manner to produce the Vyanuku, that is a diatomic molecule, and Trianuku, that is a triatomic molecule. Next is a cataract surgery. The first cataract surgery is said to have been performed by the ancient Indian physician Shushruta. He is also known as the father of plastic surgery. Way back in 6th century BC, he devised this method. To remove the cataract from the eyes, he used a curved needle, jabamukhi or salaka, to loosen the lens and push the cataract out of the field of vision. Shushruta's surgical works were later translated to Arabic language, and his works were then introduced to the West. Next is Wootz Steel. Tamils of the Chera dynasty are known to be behind the development of Wootz Steel, that is a pioneering steel alloy matrix developed in India. It is one of the finest steel of the ancient world, and wood steel is a crucible steel characterized by a pattern of bands that you can see here, uh, and that was known in the ancient world by many different names such as Ukku, Hindwani, and Sarek iron. Next is Raman Effect, for which we all have gathered here today. That is, C.V. Raman was awarded the 1930 Nobel Prize in physics for his discovery of the Raman effect. Raman effect is when light that passes through a material is scattered, and the wavelength of the scattered light is changed because it has caused an energy state transition in the material's molecule. For this, C.V. Raman was awarded the 1930 prize in physics, and National Science Day is also celebrated to commemorate the discovery of Raman effect by Nobel laureate. I am the master of my failure. If I never fail, how will I ever learn? With this, I conclude today's this presentation. Thank you.
May I now request Dean Academics, Professor Urmila Bhrigu ma'am, to kindly address the gathering.
All of us love to receive an award, and generally the award is given to the best performer. Gold medal, as we all know, is such example. However, you will all agree with me that because we all come from very diverse backgrounds, socially and economically, so when you come to your college for higher education, though the journey is same, the starting point and the end point of the journey is same, but each one of us faces the challenges differently. The challenges are language, different languages, different cultural practices, food, homesickness, and your personality traits also. Some of us make friends easily, some of us don't make friends so easily, and many more. Recognizing all this today on this National Science Day 2022, on the initiative of our director, Professor N.P. Padi, MNIT is starting with a new award called Inspiring Performance Award, which will be given to the students who have made the most incremental improvement in their performance in their academic journey here at MNIT Jaipur. This year, the award is being given to only the final year undergraduate as well as postgraduate students. But next year onwards, we plan to give this award to all UG and PG batches, year-wise, branch-wise, and hope that each one of you who are seeing this program get inspired and try to be a recipient of this award next year. So now we will announce the name of the students who will be receiving this award this year, branch-wise. First, we will be announcing the names of the undergraduate students, which will be followed by postgraduate students. Swapnil Singh, Shesh Jeet, Tarun Gupta, Aditya Tulsian, Harshita Meena, Miravat Brahma, Bhattu Sateja, Mohammad Abdullah Siddiqui, Raj Kumar Prasad, Manish Sharma, Abhinav Kumar Bansal, Mohit Jain, Muskan Lehriya, Tushar Purohit, Nidhi Chaudhary, Shrishti Agarwal, Pawan Kumar Gurjar, Hemant Sharma, Sachin Tathera, Anjan Kumar G, Tripti Rajesh Singh, Sambhavi Sinha, Pushpendra Chaudhary, Akash Shashikant Chaudhary, Saurabh Jaiswal, Ankur Upadhyay, Ravi Patel, Tanuja Payal Sahu, Manikanta Golla, Rohit Sharma, Aman Kumar Verma, Anuj Dubey, Irene Jacob, Abhishek Chaturvedi, Dhirendra Bahadur Singh.
Science promotes discussions and debates. Following the same, we'll now be having a panel discussion.
A very good morning. On the occasion of this National Science Day, we at MNIT thought that we should try to have a 360-degree view about science through visiting the questions: what science is, what science has done, and what science can possibly do to us. Through a panel discussion with the title Contrasting Role of Science for a Sustainable Future. With me, there are panelists, and they are also representing various stakeholder groups. We have two faculty members, Professor A.B. Gupta from Civil Engineering Department and Professor Kanupriya Sasdev from Physics Department. We have two startups working at MNIT, Antariksh, who's representing Zero Gravity, and Akash, who's representing AHA 3D, their startups. And we have two students. One is Rishika Agarwal. Rishika is a final year student, and Sagar Upadhyay. Sagar is a third year student. So there is experience sitting on the table. There is, I would say, innovation as well as adventure through startups sitting on the table, and there is our future sitting on this table. So let's try to have a view about what science is, first of all, and therefore I would have my questions going through you, maybe in a little random manner, if you don't mind. Okay, so first let us try to understand what is science. So each one of you, please let me know what is science in your opinion, and how can broader definition of science be practiced in the education system. What I mean to ask is, or know from you is, usually science means to a common person physics, chemistry, botany, mathematics, and that's it. Is there a broader sense of science that we should know and we should practice? Sir?
Since I am from biological sciences, I would say that scientific fervor or science is a systematic attempt to unravel the mysteries of life. Now, life, which is a biological form, unfortunately is such a mystery which does not follow the normal laws of physics, maths or chemistry. And that is why defining it is never easy. Life is not linear. We try to do quasi-linear assumptions to come close to life. And that attempt will always go on. That is what I put science as. Thank you.
So maybe some views from a professor in physics.
Yeah. Just to add to it, for me, it's not just a body of knowledge, some scientific facts, theories, or formulas. It's a process, and it's a way of thinking. It's a way of life. That for me, science is.
And what do the startups think, Akash? I mean, because startups deal in all the, I would say, walks of life. They deal with money, they deal with compliances, they definitely deal with science, and many scientific startups, science-based startups are quite successful. So what is the perception in the startup community about science?
So, sir, I understand science as the body of knowledge that is passed on right since humans have been working to figure out how nature works, and they have been documenting it. So, science is that passed on knowledge, and the heart of the knowledge is what we think we should focus on. If I talk from the applied aspects of science perspective, so MIIC is such a great attempt. We need to connect, first of all, that knowledge, how to apply that, and students, whenever we are studying science, we should always try to join these dots. So, okay, this is the written knowledge, but this is how it is actually, I can experience it. And then that's all about, startups. We are doing that, joining the dots all the time.
So, Antriksh, you also think the same way, or there is a difference of opinion?
Actually, the science, because the word science starts from a subject, actually. Because when we were young, we were in school or colleges, the science subject is like physics, chemistry, maths. And we studied it, but afterwards, some people go into their jobs, some people go into their other business, but actually in the technical based startups, like we experience it, like we studied about torque. Now we understand it, how the torque works, because we are working on drones. So there are motors, there are engines, there are things rotating, and then we have to deal with that torque. So the science is to understand the concept, which is like physical concept, as ma'am told. The physics actually is a phenomena. It is there because the gravity is there, the things are there. So that is why it is phenomena, but the science is to understand it and use it in a proper or a constructive way.
Okay.
For humanity as well as the applications.
I can understand, because startups have to think much broader as compared to the conventional thinking. Rishika, what do the students think about science?
So for the student, science is a subject. Usually we are taught like that science is subjects. Like we are studying some processes, some natural processes, and then we are presenting them as theories and as laws. But right now in today's world, the students should work upon that. We have studied the science, we have studied the laws. Now we should improve these processes and all these things, so as to either we can make the way easier towards the next generation, or we can mitigate the dangers associated with it. So in that aspect, the students should think science.
Yeah, and especially the national education policy is emphasizing on breaking the silos. So even if there is a silo of science, you need to break it and involve other domains in this. So with this, we move on to the next question, and that is related to something what science has done. I would like to know from you, what are one or two biggest scientific innovations or discoveries in your opinion? Sir, maybe we start with you again.
I think the discovery of DNA, just because everything boils down to that.
And briefly, why do you think so? You can share.
You see, you have to unravel this life, so that's the basic molecule with which life has been made up.
Okay, Kanupriyaji.
Well, 20th century was the most happening century for science, I would say. And it was the era like post-Newtonian era, where we had general theory of relativity, special theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. And that led to development of nuclear weapons, which changed the world scenario, like the economics and the politics, everything. So I would say it was important discoveries of 20th century. Another was the understanding of the models of atoms that led to development of nylon and plastic. Now today we cannot live without plastic, but it's one of the major threats to the sustainability of the environment. So that I would rate as one of the very important discoveries of 20th century.
Okay. Akash, your pick.
So essentially, science is the continuous discovery of knowledge and documenting it. And discovering it is not any single person's, space of action.
No, but just name one or two biggest innovations.
Yeah. So I just want to come to that.
Yeah, please.
And connecting to each other, like the internet. Internet is what empowered, very rapid exponential growth of science and humanity in general.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
Sagar,
Sir, I believe that the most important scientific innovation for the 20th century was the assembly line, as it led to the invent of industrial revolution, which led to the advent of mass production, and that is the thing that has enabled the production of all the goods and all the gadgets that we currently use in our daily lives.
So you seem to be a true mechanical engineering student by now. Yes. Okay. Maybe Rishika, your opinion?
Yeah, sir, I think the most important innovation of the 20th century was the invent of AI, that is the artificial intelligence, in which we are making the computers programmed like that they will think like human brains.
Right.
So that the pressure which is on the humans, like as an electrical engineer, if I say, in industries various processes are there, and in all those processes humans are to be involved. So the associated risk with it, like any leakage or any if there is a manufacturing default is there. So the risk of humans' life is also associated with it.
Right.
So those processes can be automated, or it can be done through computers and all these things, like through drones and all these things. So the associated risk with those processes can be reduced.
So the artificial intelligence. Antriksh, I guess your answer will be something related to your name only, space.
Because in 20th century, like in 1930s, we started flying aircraft, the aviation. The revolution in aviation started from Wright brothers. They made their own engine and the aircraft. Then later on in World War I and II, those aircrafts were like heavily modified and used. Then afterwards, invention of jet engines. Then later on, commercial flights. So I think the flights, the invention of aviation was the major thing in 20th century.
Okay, thank you. I had guessed that you would answer something related to the meaning of your name, Antriksh. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Quite interesting views have come in response to the second question. My next question to the panel is, which scientific innovation you think has given the biggest threat to sustainability? Sir, maybe we start with you only because you work quite closely in this field of sustainability.
But I would not confine it to one technology being innovated. I would rather generalize it with the experience of Dr. Amitabh Ghosh's lecture, who presented about 30 different graphs, like heartbeat versus the life of the animal. All those graphs had only one outlier, which was human being. We are trying to interfere with the life, and that has made us an outlier, and that is the biggest threat. Like Dr. Kanupriya said, that plastics, we have both ills as well as benefits. Same way drones can be used for destructive purposes as well. So artificial intelligence, well, who will put the consciousness in the artificial machine? That is very important. We just can't produce androids. Thank you.
Okay, Kanupriya ji.
I would say all innovations are double-edged sword.
Okay.
So we need to use them very carefully.
Right. So plastic to AI, whatever
Yes.
we have been inventing, there are pros and cons of. Okay, very well said. Akash.
I'd keep it specific to the single most destructive invention for humanity, and that is the discovery or innovation of tetraethyl lead. And the person who created, single person who created the biggest damage to Earth, to environment, everything, the inventor of tetraethyl lead was Mr. Thomas Midgley Jr.
And just in 1 or 2 lines for our audience, why do you think so?
Because in only from 1960 to today, only in these 50 years, this invention created an equivalent damage for all the rest of humanity combined.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we can see this in ice caps. Right before 1960, the ice is pure, there is no lead inside and everything. When we research like that. But then beyond 1960, it's really gone down like that. And it is like multifarious impacts, like cancer is a normal disease today. Like, we are okay with, kids not being born in a healthy manner. So everything is an offshoot of the presence of lead in our environment. And automobiles, like every automobile has been sputtering out lead in the environment continuously at a really huge scale. So this is how, and even the inventor didn't know about it, by the way. Even so, only later did we discover that it's really so harmful, and then we came to unleaded gasoline and all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's quite interesting. Antriksh?
So, from my opinion, we all have, like, any innovation has their pro and cons. But in my view, like in aviation, we did a lot change. Like earlier, moving from one place to another place or one continent to another continent was very difficult. It used to take a lot of time. But because of the aviation growth, we could done it in few hours only. But this also rise to the use of like drones, as I will say specifically. Because drones can be used for good as well as the destructive purposes also. Because recently we have seen drones doing the strikes because there is no pilot involved in there. The pilot is sitting somewhere far in the very safe area and he's just clicking a button. But there is no humanity involved, because when we see pilots are flying over there and they can see with their own eyes. They have their own decision. They can pull the trigger or not. But sitting very far from the actual area and they are just following their orders. So this is a threat to humanity, because any country can use the drones from
So you are kind of widening the classical definition of sustainability or threat to sustainability through unnecessary intervention using drones and such technology.
Yes.
Fine, that's a nice perspective. Rishika, what do the students think usually for the inventions that maybe our generation or the generation prior to us, the set of innovations we have given to you?
So I think the most dangerous one was the invention of nuclear power.
Uh-huh.
Like many countries, like they are seen as very powerful if they have various nuclear weapons with them. But we have also seen the adverse effects of nuclear, like also the bombs which were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we have seen the impacts were from like not only related to only few years. There were the impacts were not for the limited to few years. For many years the impacts were there. The radioactivity which it caused, the carcinogenic impacts that it has. Even to reserve the nuclear waste and all these things, they dig up the hole in earth and they store there the nuclear waste, and later on they dispose. But that is also now threatening the life associated underground, the earth and all these things. So though it is a very powerful innovation, but it has various effects, and therefore a debate is also there always that whether nuclear is a renewable or non-renewable resource of energy.
Right. So I'll continue my next question with you only, because next century is yours. Okay. So with the students, I would first like to know from the students, what do they think where lies the solution? What is the possible development or innovation or discovery that can happen in this century for preventing sustainability and for maintaining sustainability, I would say.
So like I said, from the nuclear power only. So rather than relying on such resources which are directly impacting our environment, we can be dependable on the resources which are like the solar resources, wind resources, these things which are not directly impacting the environment or which have very less impact on the environment in terms of pollution, if we say. So switching to more such renewable source of energy will be one of the solutions for it.
Okay, maybe can we know from Sagar?
Sir, I completely agree with what Rishika was said, that we should be more dependent on renewable resources like solar energy, wind energy, and as far as I know, we are also going to practice this in our own college. Like we have installed solar power setups in various parts of our college, and in our hostels also we use solar power heaters. So I think that is a use for sustainable development because it will not impact our environment and it will only help in increasing the production of energy.
Yeah, but if may ask you, out of the threats that all of you pointed out, dirty energy was nowhere appearing, nearly. Okay, but in the solution, we are seeing renewable energy as the solution provider for sustainability. So has the solution for intervention or nuclear, yes, to some extent that substitution can come, plastics or maybe genome fiddling, I would call it as. The solution may not come from renewable alone, right? So Akash, is there something else that you would look for?
Sir, I'm actually looking for fixing ourselves in this century. So in the foregoing century, like our age-old tradition of mindfulness and meditation, although we can argue it is not really science, but it is our Vedas and all, they stand in endorsement that that is actually a science. And in the foregoing later part of the century, there have been great efforts to revive it. Mindfulness and observing ourselves, fixing ourselves. So Vipassana is one such practice. Then there have been apps like Mindspace, Headspace and Calm and all, which integrate mindfulness and its positive effects in actual business and actual benefit of the overall upliftment of people. So in this century I'm looking forward to this thing getting more systematized and objectified and more widespread. So overall we don't take any step which is self-destructing. We are aware at that level.
So you mean to say that lifestyle and controlling yourself is going to be the biggest thing? And
because end of the day, we are the source of the problem.
Okay, quite interesting. Antrich?
So from my side, because we can change ourselves, we can do everything what like we can do green energy and everything, all this stuffs. But like right now, Ukraine and Russia are fighting each other. You are doing meditation and you are putting solar plants, but when other countries started to like poke you and using their systems on you, so in that manner, if we can use the technology for the constructive manner, either it is like nuclear or whatever, if we are using it for constructive manner and we limit their uses. For example, drones, as we know, they can be used for transport of illegal goods, and people are using it, as well as they are bombing some places. As things are like lot of things are happening. But if we only use these equipment, because we know we have pro and cons, and you can do positive things and do negative things. But we start to put our brain in the positive manner only. Then only this humanity can survive, as well as the technology.
Yeah, but the challenge is once the technology is there, people are free to use either way. For good,
because
for
in that sense.
So I would want to add something here. The nature has sufficient resources to meet the need of everyone, but not to meet the greed of everyone.
Perfect.
So for sustainability, there has to be innovations which provide solutions to the current day problems, which of course we have generated, and does not compromise the future generations. So that kind of solutions we have to look for. And then there are many more things, just as he said, that the wars among countries. In addition to that, if we think locally, not globally, in our country, the urbanization process, people moving from villages to cities in, looking for better future or whatever. So this urbanization leads to, and excessive population of course, it leads to large use of energy. Use of energy at a very higher scale and excessive waste production. So these are the issues we need to look at, which are required, I think, at the policy level. So that something could be done for a sustainable future.
Right. I think policy plays a very important role, and that is why governments are doing, and recently India's commitment in Glasgow Summit and all of the previous summits has been indicating towards that India is definitely committed towards improving sustainability of mankind.
So action at all levels actually is required for sustainability.
So it is not just the technology, it is integrated approach for this. I was purposely holding opinion of Professor A.V. Gupta because you have a much wider view, and we respect your vision as well because you think much ahead of what usually.
Well, I don't deserve.
Yeah. So please.
But I would try to just sum up with some interactions with other people. One of my recent interactions with Professor Ashutosh Sharma, who was the previous Secretary of Science and Technology, he was telling me about a new approach in the new science and technology policy has emphasized on a greater shift from tool-centric to problem-centric approach. And he described the 5 M's for this problem-centric approach. But I would add, like as Akash said, the 6th M is needed, which is metaphysics, which is very important to understand many life problems. Now when it comes to solutions, I would quote Leonardo da Vinci, the great artist, who said that nature has a flawless engineering. I'm not quoting that, so it's not within inverted commas, I'm just giving the gist. And he says that I don't find any flaw in any of the nature-inspired engineering. So we have to look for the solutions in nature-inspired engineering only, mimicking the nature to get the approach to fill the dots in the right manner, which should have a global implication rather than a simple local implication. And hence, we need not just a multidisciplinary approach, but a transdisciplinary approach.
And that is precisely what our NEP is also encouraging, National Education Policy. It is promoting interdisciplinary knowledge imparting, it is promoting transdisciplinary knowledge imparting. Cross-disciplinary also, these are the 3 terms which are coming very prominently in the National Education Policy. Well, I would have loved extending this discussion, but because of time limit, we need to come to a closure. But wonderful to have different perspectives.
May I now request Honorable Director Sir, Professor N.P. Padhi, to kindly address the gathering.
Dear faculty colleagues, students, staffs and guests, the nation and Malviya National Institute of Technology, Jaipur, are celebrating National Science Day. Sir C.V. Raman is among the only 9 Indians who have won the prestigious Nobel Prize. His research showed that when light traverses a transparent material, the deflected light changes its wavelength and frequency. This scattering of light came to be known as Raman Effect, for which he received the Nobel Prize in 1930. We celebrate this on 28th February to commemorate the discovery of the Raman Effect. During this day, we celebrate the efforts of individuals to spread the significance of science and its applications in our daily lives. The theme of this year's Science Day is Integrated Approach in Science and Technology for a Sustainable Future. As per the vision of our National Education Policy, MNIT Jaipur is striving to develop synergies in various domains of science and engineering and deliver scientific knowledge for its scholars. We at MNIT need to develop sustainable technologies and take them to the ground for the benefit of our community at large. The indigenous technologies we develop should not only be affordable but be of value to the common man. As an institute, we assure to provide the scientists and researchers with a connection to the society at large. I am sure that these technologies will help to improve the living standards of individuals and their quality of lives, especially those living in far-flung areas of rural Rajasthan. This will bring empowerment to the people of the state and the country and take India to the path of becoming a knowledge superpower. On this occasion, I encourage all stakeholders to develop scientific knowledge in whatever domain they are working in and contribute towards national development. Our undergraduate and postgraduate students and research scholars are the ambassadors of this institute, and I would like them to put their best efforts in spreading this. Jai Hind.
May I now request Dean Student Welfare, Professor Lav Bhargav sir, to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Director MNIT, Professor N.P. Padhi, faculty, dear students. Thank you all for being part of today's celebrations. We are thankful to our Director, Professor Padhi, for giving directions to this activity. Our students who have enthusiastically participated in the video making competition. Faculty for the support in organizing this online program. Science Day celebrates the spirit of inquiry in exploring new vistas. Continuous efforts to excel is inherent in development of science. The same should reflect in our activities in the institute. We hope to organize this function offline in future on a grand scale with many more awards to encourage all our students. Special thanks are due to our team of student volunteers, Associate Dean Student Welfare, and faculty coordinators who have managed this complete event. Once again, thank you for your participation.